Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I am your host, Eric Smith. Today I'm talking about Embers of War by Gareth L. Powell, and this is from Titan Books. This is the first in a 3-book series. I think there's only 3 so far, but not a trilogy in the sense it's not one giant story. There's no cliffhanger here or anything. But what we do have here is a world where spaceships are sentient, and the Trouble Dog was a warship that has resigned her commission, and now she works for the House of Reclamation, which is a non-political group that will help rescue anybody, regardless of their politics or their race, be they human, alien. If you're in trouble, you're sending out an SOS. The House of Reclamation is going to help. And so the Trouble Dog and her crew receive a distress call from essentially a cruise ship. And so they need to get there as quickly as they can. But there are powers, people, things that are going to get in their way. And meanwhile, we have this guy, Ashton Child, who has been stuck on this sweltering jungle planet, helping some rebels. He hates it there. He's like an intelligence officer. But he's gotten a new assignment. He's supposed to go to where this cruise ship has been in distress and find out if one specific passenger is there and alive. And things are all going to come to a head. Anyway, so for the too long didn't watch folks, I gave this 5 out of 5 on Goodreads. I I loved it, basically. Gareth L. Powell, author of the Ack-Ack Macaque trilogy plus. This is 3 books and a short story or novella. Loved those, and I've had the 3 books in the Embers of War series for some time. Let's see when this came out. 2018, so 6 years. And just, it's just so much to read, but decided it was time to jump in, and I'm so glad I did. The book starts, we've got a prologue that's essentially the end of a war. And not going to go into the details of it, but there's a military action that ends this war, this conflict between it's the conglomerate and the outwarders. Essentially, you've got, humans have expanded out into space, and you have one group that essentially believes that we should be accepting of aliens, and if aliens have a better idea about something than we do, let's use their idea. Let's cooperate, incorporate, not in the corporation sense, with aliens. And then there's the humans that are like, no, Earth best. Nothing anybody else, any other alien race can do or say could be better than Earth. We're the pinnacle. Gareth L. Powell is British, so while I have my USA-centric idea of what these 2 factions are, it may be different for a British author. Anyway, so this conflict ends. We jump ahead 3 years. Trouble Dog, because of what happened in that prologue, again, has essentially resigned her commission. Trouble Dog being a warship, sentient warship, and now works for this House of Reclamation. And being a warship, she had a capacity, or has a capacity, for like 300 troops, I believe was the number. But now she has 4 crew members when we meet her right after, 3 years after the war. But the first time we meet her, and the captain, Sally Constance, Kostanz. She's the captain of the Trouble Dog, and it's an interesting relationship because again, Trouble Dog is a sentient spaceship, but sort of follows the chain of command. Essentially, I'm not going to do anything that the captain doesn't tell me I can do. I will follow the captain's orders. But can think for herself. The captain will consult with Trouble Dog. But anyway, so this warship that normally could house 300 people has 4 people, human and alien, different sides of that conflict, and they when we're introduced to them when they're on a rescue mission, and then after that rescue mission, they maybe during they get this essentially an SOS saying this cruise ship. I keep saying cruise ship, but it's a spaceship. Has sent out an SOS, and they have to go to the planet or the space station that is the headquarters for the House of Reclamation. Maybe just have offices there. But anyway, they have to stop and refuel, and then they have to stop at this jungle planet and pick up Ashton Clark. They're his ride. And so you've got these people that were on different sides of the conflict, and there's still antagonism between them, and while this is all going on, we're following, oh goodness, Ona. I had to look. Ona Sudak, who is the passenger that Ashton Clark has been told to find. And Ona is on this planet where the cruise ship has gone down, trying to survive. So lots of stuff going on. There's a lot of explanation of the story. It's well written, with pretty much every character is a damaged character. And for me, that as much as I like occasionally a perfect character, that's when I'm reading something pulpish. Like Doc Savage is a perfect character. And Tarzan is pretty perfect. But that's for that kind of story. Pretty much anything else, I want damaged characters, or at least conflicted characters who aren't perfect, characters who are going to make mistakes, characters who are going to be interesting. Doc Savage is it's the craziness of the stories that make those fun to read. It's not. I mean, Doc Savage is a fun, cool character in my opinion, but there's really no conflict within him. But all of these characters are damaged in some way. A lot of it has to do with that war that ended in the prologue. A lot of PTSD going on here. And even there's people that were on the same side of the conflict that are butting heads. And then you have people that were on different sides of the conflict having to work together, so they're butting heads. And it's all just, the characters are so well written that I'm rooting for the characters that hopefully I should be rooting for, because you never know. It's an interesting world that has been built here, and I don't mean single world. I'm talking about the universal world that's been built here. I am by no means an expert on science fiction, so I don't think there's too many tropes going on here. But this isn't really military science fiction. It's not hard sci-fi. I don't think it would fall under space opera. It is character driven, but there are, with the sentient spaceships and then certain things that we're going to learn later in the story, elevates it into some really kind of heady, I don't want to say intellectual, but that might be the best. I don't know if that's the best word or not. But we get into some wild ideas, some crazy concepts. It's not just spaceships go pew pew pew, but there is some of that. There is physical conflict going on, as well as emotional, personal turmoils. But it's not just a bunch of space battles. There are space battles, not a bunch of space battles. There are ground conflicts, but it's not all just a bunch of ground conflicts. It's a nice mix of all of these, the action, the characters. It's all very well written, and I can see the other two books right over there, and I'm looking forward to getting to those. I'm not going to jump right in because I just have so much other stuff to read, and since this wasn't really a cliffhanger, I don't need to jump right into that. I can let it stew for a little bit, but I'm not going to wait too long before I get back to those. Is there anything else that I want to say about this? This has been a very rambly day for me. So Embers of War by Gareth L. Powell from Titan Books. 5 out of 5 stars. I thought it was great science fiction. Just compelling characters, which of course regular viewers know. Character is the most important thing to me. And I absolutely loved all of the characters in here. The humans, the aliens, and the spaceships who are sentient. I did want to mention that each chapter is first person from a different character's point of view. So we have a bunch that are Sal, Constance, however you say that. We have Ashton Child, so a bunch of chapters from his POV, and he's telling it. It's all, every time it's first person. We have Ona Sudak chapters, we have Trouble Dog chapters, and there is an alien, Neff? Actually, it should be very easy to find one of the chapters because of the way they are written. Nope, not that. Maybe it's not as easy as I could just go to the end. I know they have one at the end. Nod, part of the Druff. Nod is an alien from the race the Druff. So some of the chapters are from Nod's point of view. They're very different. The way Nod speaks is odd, but not difficult to read. So yeah, we've got lots of different points of view, and it all comes together. It all works. So 5 out of 5 for Embers of War by Gareth L. Powell. I recommend it if you're a fan of science fiction. Unless you're one of the genre specific or subgenre specific types. Like if you're a David Drake, I only read this hardcore military science fiction. I don't think there's enough of that in here for you. If you're only reading hard science fiction, Greg Bear type, I don't think this is going to be for you. But if you're just a general science fiction fan, like I am, I think you're going to enjoy this. So Gareth L. Powell, Embers of War. And there you go. Question for this video. I've probably asked this before. Are you a science fiction fan? What type of science fiction do you like? It's pretty much the question. As I just said, I am a general science fiction fan. I have read hard science fiction, like Greg Bear and that type of stuff. I love a good space opera or pulpy type of science fiction. I've read, regular viewers will know I've read a bunch of Star Trek novels, a bunch of Star Wars novels. I've read military sci-fi. One of my favorite sci-fi series, the Hope series by David Feintuck, I believe is considered military sci-fi, but I'm not 100% sure. First book, I think, should absolutely be considered military sci-fi. Of course, I love, love, love Isaac Asimov. I've read Heinlein. I've never read Arthur C. Clarke or Larry Niven. I like well-written cyberpunk. So, and I've read David Drake, I believe. There's another like big name in military sci-fi that I can't think of off the top of my head. Um, but yeah, I like a well-written story. Everybody who watches my stuff knows that. It's about the story and the characters. Horror, my favorite genre, but sci-fi is up there because it takes us into another world, and plus I like the pew 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 every once in a while. Um, there's a oh, I wish I could think of the author who has a series of sci-fi mysteries. I really like sci-fi mixed with noir. So there's a series of books with a robot detective that has a noir bent to them. And I've read and enjoyed lots of Philip K. Dick. Speaking of noir, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? So yeah, I guess I'd say I'm a general fan of science fiction. I don't have one particular um, subgenre of sci-fi that I'm a big fan of. So, what about you? Do you like science fiction? Do you prefer to watch it or read it? Do you not care for it? I know people that don't like science fiction at all. Let me know in the comments below. If you have any comments, questions, corrections, please put those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. We try to be polite here at the Low Budget Review Show. Please like, share, and subscribe, all the usual YouTube stuff. And if you'd care to follow me on other social media, my Twitter is @Ronan5757. My Instagram, where I post pictures of books, comic books, board games, fuzzy animals, is Eric Smith 5757. That's Eric with a K, ERIKSMITH 5757. And if you're on Blue Sky, I am @EL Smith. And that's all I've got. This has been the Low Budget Review Show. I've been Eric Smith, and until next time, read more books.